gotta watch it.
Because I run over it, huh?
You gotta watch them.
I don't wear a watch when I don't have to work.
You working right now.
Well, you know what I mean. All right, good morning. Let's go to 1 Kings, 19th chapter. Oh, thank you. Are you there? Let's look at the 8th verse. As you know, last Sunday, Lady Deborah talked about Elijah, the miracle that he did. You know, their gods, I think they hummed and hollered a half a day. Nothing happened. But when Ezekiel's God came along, all he had to do was pray. And that whatever that was set on fire. So it's the same way with us, y'all. All we have to do when we hit it hard is pray and believe that God will do what he says he's going to do. All right, after Elijah God performed this miracle for him, Jezebel got him on the run again. Just like the devil runs us sometimes when we get scared. He got scared. You know, that Jezebel must have been a tough lady to have a man running from her. But anyway, he got on the run. So let's look at verse 8. He goes to Horeb.
Somebody says she's still tough.
Huh? So what?
I said somebody says she's still tough. Jezebel.
Well, Jezebel was rough. She was a bad mamma jamma. Because I can remember, that made me remember when I was growing up, and if you wore this fire red lipstick, your folks would say you look like a Jezebel. Now, how they know what she looked like? Let's look at verse 8.
Because she painted her lip.
Well,
That's why they said that. She painted her lip, put something around the wheel.
well, she was tough because he knew God was on his side, but she put him on the run.
What Jezebel do, she bewitched.
She what?
She bewitched. You had one thing on your mind and something else come from.
All right, Pastor. All right, Pastor. And he arose and did eat and drink, and went in the strength, I'm on verse 8, went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights into Horeb, the mount of God. And he came thither unto a cave, and lodged there, and behold, the word of the Lord came to him, and he said unto him, What dost thou here, Elijah? What are you doing here? I just helped you. I showed their God's word anything, and you let this woman put you on the run. Now he's in a cave, and he came thither unto a cave, and lodged there, and behold, the word of the Lord came to him, and he said unto him, What dost thou, Elijah? Why are you here? What you running from? I got your back. So, and then he goes on and said that he's having his pity party. And he said, I have been very jealous for the Lord God of hosts, for the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and slain your prophets with the sword. And I, even I, only am left, and they seek my life to take it away. That's his pity party. And you know how we have pity parties? I used to have them.
You don't have no more?
Sometimes, not like I used to. Sometimes. Sometime, but not like I used to. All right. And he said, go forth and stand upon the mount before the Lord. And behold, the Lord passed by. There was a strong wind, and God was not in the wind. There was an earthquake, and God was not in the earthquake. There was fire, and God was not in the fire. And there was still a small voice. And it was so, when Elijah heard it, that he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood in the entering end of the cave. And behold, there came a voice unto him and said, what dost thou here, Elijah? He asking him again. And of course, that pity part about your folk, I've stood for your folk, and I've been jealous for your folk, and so forth and so on. And then this is what the Lord said. And the Lord said unto him, go, return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus. And when you come, anoint Hazael to be king over Syria. And Jehu, the son of Nimshi, shall you anoint to be king over Israel, and Elisha. This is Elisha, S-H-A, Elisha. He told him to anoint him, and he's already chosen the king for Syria, and the battle has not even been fought. Same way with us. He's already fought the battle for us. And all these lessons to me in here teaches us that God will take care of you. And I believe that. I don't care what I go through. I don't care what I face. I said, God will take care of me. And I just believe, me and mine. That's what I say. And I believe that. Let's go on. And it shall come to pass that and he goes on to tell about Hazael. Hadn't war been fought yet, but you appoint him as the king of Syria. The war has not been fought. So that's letting you know that he is who he say he is. I want to get to the good part. And then he went on to tell Elijah, yet I have left me 7,000 in Israel, all the knees which have not bowed unto Baal, and every mouth which has not kissed him. 7,000. So don't you go saying, I'm the only one left. Why is this happening to me? Da-da-da-da-da. He had 7,000 who had not worshipped Baal. Let's go on. And of course, this is Elisha, not Sha. So he departed thence and found Elisha, the son of Shaphat, who was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen before him. He was in the field plowing. When he passed Elisha, he threw his cape on him. The only thing Elisha asked to do was to go back and kiss his parents goodbye, because he knew that he would not be coming back. Let's look at chapter 20. Now here's another guy that thinks he's tough. Here's another one. He's not a Jezebel, but he really thinks he's tough. Now you know a man who sends you a message and says he's going to take your wives, your children, your servants, your gold, your silver. You know, he thinks he's tough. But he forgot that even though Israel had sinned, they were still God's people. Yes, sir.
Jean.
Yes.
Now you doing good.
All right.
And I'm getting ready to take you back.
Okay.
You had left that and moved on. And I don't know, you tell me if I missed something, because I was out the room. I heard you said, you know, when you get off into your feelings, into yourself, and start feeling sorry for yourself. What I heard you say was, don't say that, but I'm the only one and whatever. But, and maybe you said something else, but that's the problem that I have with y'all church folk. Like y'all want to live in a fantasy world and act like life ain't real. And just because I'm saved, and I'm saved. Just because I'm saved don't mean that sometimes I don't get on a pity party.
Well.
And one thing is that you live in such a selfish world, even folks in your family. Because when they get into themselves, they ain't thinking about you. And so, and that'll make me, let me just speak to me, I can't speak to nobody else. That'll make me get in myself. You know, and I feel just like Elijah. Here I am, I done provided, I've done all I can to try to, now here my time is. And you don't care because you still selfish. And most of the time when you helping weak folks, they just weak. Somebody else gonna have to help you because they just weak. If they weak Saturday, they probably gonna be weak on Monday. It's just how it is. And so I'm not saying that what you said was wrong, but what I'm saying is I would rather for y'all to give me some type of viable solution.
Okay.
I know what the problem is. And you know, I'm subject to wake up in the morning and be depressed. It just, I don't have clinical depression, I don't think. But I have depression often. But I don't have clinical depression. I don't think I have to have medication or anything. But there's some people that do need it. But I think the failure, where the church has failed me, is you just want to just, I don't know if you don't want to worry with me, if you just want to live in fantasy world. But what you're telling me is that I ought not feel like I feel.
No, that is not what I meant.
I'm not talking about you.
Oh,
I'm talking about the church. You go ahead. And I've taken you back. You were moving on. I'm sorry. But you know, Deborah
And
ain't here.
all of us have those pity parties.
Okay.
All of us do. But like I've said before, you get up, brush yourself off, and begin to lean and depend on the Father. Because sometimes your people don't want to be bothered with you.
But
And the only person you have to appeal to is him.
But then you said brush yourself off and lean and depend on it. My problem is that I already done brushed myself off. When I'm feeling like that, I'm doing better than most folk then.
Okay,
I'm riding in a nice car. I got sharp. I got money in the bank and in my pocket. Okay? I got folk patting me on my back, telling me how great I am. So my problem ain't brushing and it ain't leaning and depending on God. I'm leaning and depending on God. I just don't feel good.
Well, you know, like we discussed last Sunday,
Okay.
sometimes you have to talk to somebody and let them know how you're feeling.
I agree.
And that's the only thing that I humanly know you can do.
And
is
in order
let
to do that,
other
I have to
folk
humble
know
myself.
how you feel.
I have to I had to learn how to stop isolating. Because I'm like this. Now, see, in my house, we never had no fussing and arguing. We don't do that. You know, if we do that, it done gone real left. That fussing and all that, we don't do that. What we do is we isolate, we shut down.
Well,
That's what we do.
Foster and I say what we have to say, and then we through with it.
Yeah.
He'll either say, I don't want to hear it anymore, or either I'll say, I'm through with it. And we move on. Now, that's the way it is in my house.
What I have to watch out for is isolating. Because not only will I isolate from Deborah, I isolate from y'all. If I get way off into myself, I don't want to, don't say nothing to me. Just leave me alone. I won't even go around people because I don't want them to see me like this. Because we always want people to see us at our best. We don't want people to see us when we're vulnerable. And so I make sure I won't stay around people because it's a mess today.
When our children were at home, we didn't do a lot of arguing, but we stated how we felt. and then we were through with it. It's just, with him, it's resolved. So you may as well leave it alone.
Well,
Now, that's the way it is with Foster.
y'all did wonderful, because I still don't know how she feels.
Well, I'll let you know how I feel
Ain't
now.
none of that at my house where you just, that's the conundrum right there. Because the average woman ain't gonna tell you nothing. And then when it's all over with, you should have known.
Well, I'll tell you how I feel. In the New York second. All right. Let's go on with Elisha. Elijah anointed Elisha. Now let's look at chapter 20. Here's another man. He's besieging Samaria. And Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria. Now remember, God has told Elijah to anoint Hazael, and the battle hasn't even been fought. And the king, he's the king of Syria, gather all the hosts together, and there were 32 kings with him, and horses and chariots, and he went up and besieged Samaria and warred against it. And this is the message he sent to Ahab. Let's look at verse 3. He said, your silver and your gold is mine, your wives, also your children, and anything else that I want. Now, that's a tough man. He gonna take the man's wives. It's supposed to be fighting words right there. And the king, at first, Ahab was, he was scared. And when I read this, it sounded like he was going to accept that challenge. But as I read on, he said, in verse 7, let's look at verse 7. Then the king of Israel called all the elders of the land and said, mark, I pray you, and see how the man seeks mischief. For he sent unto me for wives and my children and my silver and my gold, and I denied him not. And all the elders and all the people said unto him, hearken not unto him, nor consent. Don't you agree to that? He's talking about taking everything from you. And let's look at what verse 10. And Ben-Hadad sent unto him, he sent unto Ahab, and said, the gods do so unto me and more also. If the dust of Samaria shall suffice for handfuls for all the people who follow me. And the king of Israel answered and said, tell him, let not him who girds on his harness boast himself as he puts it off. Don't you be boasting. All right, let's look at verse 11. God promised Ahab a defeat. He said, I'm going to take care of you, even though you've been worshiping these other gods. You've been honoring these other gods and all of that. But I am going to take care of you. And let's look at verse 15, which talks about the number of people. You remember when David only had 600 warriors? All right, the same here. There were 232 princesses, and there were 7,000 people. So you're talking about 7,232 people against an army of I don't know how many. But God is going to take care of them. He's going to take care of them. he goes on to say, and the young men, verse 17, and let me say that, and Benadad was getting drunk. Now here you going into battle, and you going to get drunk. That's how he was so sure of himself. He started drinking and got drunk. And they went out at noon. But Benadad was drinking himself drunk in the pavilions, he and the kings, the 32 kings who helped him. And the young men of the princesses of the province went out first. And Benadad sent out, and they told him, saying, there are men come out of Samaria. And look at 19. So these young men of the princesses of the province, that's from Israel, came out of the city, and the army which followed them, which was there, it was 3,232 against this man. And look at 20. And they slew every one of this man, and the Syrians fled, and Israel pursued them. And Benadad, the king of Syria, escaped on a horse with the horsemen. And the king of Israel went out and smote the horses and chariots, and slew the Syrians with a great slaughter. So Hazael is going to be the king. But they have another battle to fight. Now, God warned Ahab about killing Benadad. And Ahab, I'm going to have to see it. Thank you. So I can finish this. I'm sorry. He is so sweet.
Turn it on, man.
And this is what they are going to say. Now the prophet had told Ahab, you kill Benadad. You kill him. But that is not what he did. And the prophet came to the king of Israel and said unto him, go, strengthen yourself, and mark and see what you do. For at the return of the year of the king of Syria will come up against you. They're going to fight again. And it's going to be a multitude. But look what they said. This is what they thought of Israel's God. And the servants of the king of Syria said unto him, their gods, that they saying gods. They are saying that Israel has gods. And that is not true. But that's what they were calling our God. It said their gods are gods of the hills. Therefore, they were stronger than we. But let us fight against them in the plain, and surely we shall be stronger than they. God is a God of the hills. Now that's exactly what they said. They didn't understand that Israel was God's people. And that made me think about Helen Jean and I were looking at something about the Israelites. And there were mines. And God led those people past those mines, a field full of mines. That's what he does for his people, because he loves Israel. And this is what the Syrians recognized, that it was God that defeated them. But they kept saying gods. And this is what happened. And do this thing, take the kings away, every man out of his place, and put captain in their rooms. And number thee an army, like the army that you have lost. That means huge army. By this time, I believe they will get, the Israelites were going to face a bigger army. Let's look at 26. And it came to pass at the return of the year that Ben-Hadad numbered the Syrians and went up to Aphek to fight against Israel. And the children of Israel were numbered and were all present and went against them. And the children of Israel pitched before them like two little flocks of geese against this mighty army. That's like our problem. We think our problem is real big. But when God looks at it, it's not even a dot. Now these people were going up against an army, 100, more than likely 100 to 1. Can you imagine fighting 100 to 1 men? And this is what happened. And there came a man of God and spoke unto the king of Israel and said, Thus saith the Lord, because the Syrians have said, The Lord is God of the hills, but he is not God of the valleys. Therefore will I deliver all this great multitude unto your hand, and you shall know that I am the Lord. They said that the reason they lost that battle was because he's a God of the hills. They don't know they're in for a rude awakening. A rude awakening. Let's look at 29. And they pitched one over against the other 7 days. And so it was that in the 7th day the battle was joined. And the children of Israel slew the Syrians, 100,000 footmen in 1 day. You remember that small army? And you know David never had any more than 600 warriors. But he always won his battle. Why? Because God was with us. And it's the same with us. We may come up against things, and we do, but God will take care of you. I don't care what it is. He will take care of you. If you truly believe that. And all of us sometimes get scared. I'm not saying that. All of us get scared. Because you know the devil he works on your mind. And he can start sending those messages to you. And if you got a vivid imagination like I have, you know, it blows mine real big. When he starts sending those messages, my imagination, you know, I can just see it. And then I come back to myself and say, oh no, that's not the way it's going to be. I may not see it now, but I'm going to see it. I just got to hang on. And a lot of times that's what you have to do. You have to just hang on. And God will come see about you. And let me tell you something else. In this world, I tell a lot of these young people are not rearing their children in the church. When they get out there in that world, they're going to need God. And unless they come across somebody who will minister to them, I don't know what those children are going to do. Because that world is cold. And it doesn't play with you. And people, a lot of people don't care nothing about you. Nothing. You got to know who your friends are. And you have to watch some of them. That's why I tell, when I was a counselor, I would tell the young ladies, you don't need anything but a small circle. That's all you need. And those outside that circle, they're your associates. You're cordial to it. Hello, goodbye. And I have a small circle. And if anybody tell you that Ulysses Gene Williams said anything about you, you know it's a lie. Number one, I don't talk on no phone very much. Jackie called me. Jackie and I talk, but we be talking smack. And Jackie, you know Jackie can keep you laughing. And she has me laugh. So it makes my day. But as far as just talking on the phone, I don't do that. Ed and I talk occasionally, but she's taking care of Edgar. And when she gets in, I know she's tired. So, I have a book. I keep a book. If you look in my bag, I got a book. I keep a book everywhere I go. You need to broaden your mind, your vocabulary. And leave these folks alone. And sometimes Foster's in his space and I'm in mine. And I read all the time. So if they tell you something, you can say that's a lie. Because Gene ain't going to talk to you. I'm not. All right, moving on with that. It didn't have nothing to do with the lesson. Moving on. There was 100,000 footmen. Then said the rest fled to Aphek into the city, and there a wall fell upon 27,000. That was the end of the battle. But the Syrians said God was the gods of hills. He showed them who he was. And God again reminded the Israelites of who he was. I'm going to show you I'm God. But this is where Ahab messed up. He was supposed to kill Benadad. He didn't. Greed. And his servant said unto him, behold now, we have heard that, being surfy with him. We have heard that the kings of the house of Israel are merciful kings. Let us, I pray you, put sackcloth. Look at it, what they're doing. They finna play on there. I guess, make them feel sorry for them. Put sackcloth on your lawns and ropes upon your head, and go out to the king of Israel. Pre-adventure, he will save your life. So they gritted sackcloth on their lawns, and I don't know what the purpose of the ropes on their heads, and came to the king of Israel and said, your servant Benadad says, I pray you, let me live. Now this wasn't the original how he approached this man. I'm going to take everything from him. Now he want to play on this. He wanted him to be merciful. And he said, is he yet alive? He is my brother. You know what Ahab should have done was chopped his neck off right then and there. And then that would have ended the story. And he wouldn't be in trouble. Because God told him to kill him. Now the men did diligently observe whether anything would come from him, and did hastily catch it. And they said, your brother Benadad, your brother. Now he's their brother. Then he said, go ye, bring him, Then Benadad came forth to him, and he caused him to come up into the chariot. And Benadad said unto him, the cities, this is where the greed comes in, which my father took from your father, I will restore, and you shall make streets for you in Damascus, as my father made in Samaria. Then said Ahab, I will send you away with this covenant. Now he's making a covenant with an enemy. So he made a covenant with him and sent him away. And that's where he gets in trouble. He didn't obey God. He was disobedient. You know how we can get disobedient at that time. And a certain man of the son of the prophet said unto his neighbor in the word of the Lord, smite you. This is an example that they are giving Ahab. His neighbor in the word of the Lord, smite me, I pray you. And the man refused to smite him. See, Ahab didn't smite Benadad. He didn't do what he was told. Then said he unto him, because you have not obeyed the voice of the Lord, behold, as soon as you are departed from me, a lion shall kill you. And as soon as he was departed from him, a lion found him and killed him. Then he found another man and said, smite me, I pray you. And the man smote him, so that in smiting he wounded him. So the prophet departed and waited for the king by the way, and disguised himself with ashes upon his face. And as the king passed by, he cried unto the king, and he said, your servant went out into the midst of battle, and behold, a man turned aside and brought a man unto me, and said, keep this man. If by any means he be missed, then shall your life be for his life, or else you shall pay a talent of silver. Let's look at James. I had one scripture. I think it's 4 and 12. Let's look at James. It's about putting your hand on God's people. And I added putting your mouth on them. Because you know we like to talk about folks. You know we like that. Look at verse 12. There is one lawgiver who is able to save and destroy. Who are you who judges another? So that means keep your mouth off of them and keep your hands off of them. Now the mouth part I put in. That's not scripture now. You have to be careful who you talk about or who you laugh at. Because I tell you, when it comes to your house, it's going to be double. And it won't be funny then. And you know, we like to see people fail. He told her, you didn't do what God said, and this is what's going to happen to you. What time is it? Okay. I got one more minute. Huh? 5.
Take your time.
You know, when I start, I want to finish that. If I start on something new, I want to finish. But that's briefly. Let's look at Naboth refuses to sell his vineyard to, here's Jezebel again, Ahab. Jezebel goes, now he's running to her like she's his mama. Now this man's vineyard went up against their property. And Ahab wanted it. And the man wouldn't sell it to him. He wanted his own vineyard. Okay, let's look and see now he said, give me your vineyard, that I may have it for a garden of herbs, because it is near unto my house. And I will give you for a better vineyard than it, or if it seems good to you, I will give you the worth of it in the money. And Naboth said to Ahab, the Lord forbid it me, for that I should give the inheritance of my fathers unto you. He inherited that. Here you want to take it from him. All right. Okay, here is where he's pouting. Let's look at verse 4. And Ahab came into his house heavy and displeased because of the word which Naboth the Jezreelite had spoken to him, for he had said, I will not give you the inheritance of my father. And he laid him down upon his bed and turned away his face and would eat no bread. A grown man pouted. Had he into himself. But look here. But Jezebel, his wife, came to him and said unto him, why is your spirit so sad that you eat no bread? And he said unto her, because I spoke unto Naboth the Jezreelite, and said unto him, give me your vineyard for money, or else, if it please you, I will give you another vineyard for you. And he answered, I will not give you my vineyard. So what happened? She has him killed. She takes his inheritance from him. He went running to his mama, and she did the job for him. All right, what time is it now? So I need to stop down.
You got 5 minutes.
Oh, 5 minutes, okay. Let's look at verse 8. This is Jezebel. Now, we're talking about her. So she wrote letters in Ahab's name and sealed them with his seal, and sent the letters unto the elders and to the nobles who were in his city, dwelling with Naboth. This is how she's going to set him up, Naboth. And he wrote in letters saying, proclaim a fast and set Naboth on high among the people. Now, you know she was wrong. But that's how people will plot against you. And set 2 men, sons of Belial, before him, and bear witness against him, saying, you did blaspheme God and the king, and then carry him out and stone him, that he may die. Told a fat lie on the man. And they did exactly that. They followed her. That's how people will do you when they're trying to destroy you. They'll get together. They'll start a lie. And you know, people will believe a lie before they will believe the truth. And that's the way people are here. And I tell young people all the time, be careful. Be careful. Watch who you take into your inner circle. Because look how they lied on this man. All this man wanted to do was keep his inheritance. And the people fell for it. And that's the way people will do you, except for the people who know you. They will not believe it.
Now, Gene, that's another problem I have with you church folk. Because y'all act like y'all different than other people. Because then we'll say that's what people would do. But that's what we'll do. Now, I'm a lawyer, so I call myself logical thinking. Mm-hmm. If you start with the proposition that there's no difference between people, mm-hmm. then not people will do, that's what we'll do. If God don't help me, because the very thing that we said by somebody else, down the road we find ourselves doing.
Yes, that's true. You're
and
right.
So all my life in church, it looked like they were talking about somebody else. But we ain't talking about nobody else, because the Bible says that he has concluded all under sin. In other words, all of us wrong. There's none righteous. Mm-hmm. And so when we talk in the third person, we talk about other folk, these people out here, then maybe that's why we ain't never got no help. Because we thought it was somebody else that needed help.
No. When I said people, I'm talking about church people too.
You talking about you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But now, I'm not a backstabber, Pastor. Nah, because I've been stabbed in the back. I know how that feels.
Well, I'm a backstabber.
I'm not a backstabber.
I'm a backstabber. I be done stabbed you in the back and didn't even realize. You know what? I just stabbed somebody in the back.
Mm-mm. I know that hurt me.
Let me tell you something, Gene. I had a friend, and he used to tell me this right here. He said, Vandal, I said, what? The best time to talk about somebody is when they ain't around. If you said anything about anybody and they weren't present, you are a backstabber.
Well, see, that's not the way I define backstab. You're defining it different than I do.
Okay.
I look at it the way someone who sets out to deliberately hurt you. That's the way I look at backstabbing. And I promise, I've said this over and over since I've been here. If I do something to you and hurt, because I can be very abrupt. You have to be abrupt with Jackie. If I hurt your feelings, come to me. And I promise you, I'll humble myself down and apologize. Because I don't mean to hurt you. I really don't. But I can speak harshly sometimes. And I don't mean any harm. So let me know. Don't get on the phone and talk about me. That Jean's supposed to be a Christian. And this is what she said to me. Don't do me like that. Just come to me. Uh-huh. Because, see, that's going to spread. And it's going to get to be a bigger and bigger lie. And they're going to add to it and take away from it. And you know that.